Hello everyone, this is Bentley, and we're doing something way different. Obviously, we're at my streaming setup, we're at my desk, I got headphones on, I'm wearing a Durham Bulls hat. So I'm a little behind on editing my fish room tour. So I was looking for something to do, and I saw this video come up earlier this week, and I pulled the audience because I was curious if people wanted my opinion on it, and that is that LRB Aquatics, Lucas Bretz, is selling his house. And overwhelmingly, people wanted my opinion. And there's some interesting comments that people had, but as you guys know, a lot of times when I talk about topics, I like kind of playing a little devil's advocate. So if I generally have a very positive opinion, I will usually devil's advocate a negative opinion. And I'm going to kind of do both, because there's some stuff going on. And we'll kind of react. I don't know. I'm not going to play the whole video in its entirety, because that just is... There's a lot of stuff, and it's like a 20-minute video. It's on its own. So there's going to be linked down below if you really want to check it out and hear everything Lucas has to say. But let's kick Windows over here. There we go. And we'll watch kind of part of it. Kind of the intro here.
Hello world, how's it going? Hope you guys are all doing great. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So as you guys saw in the thumbnail down below, that the fish house is for sale. And I'm excited about doing this because I think it's going to be a great opportunity for somebody, the right person who wants to get into the fish hobby and maybe make a business out of it, or maybe you got a business already and you need a bigger space to expand your fish business, or whatever may be the reason. Maybe you just want to be a collector and have collectoritis like I do. But we're going to go run through this video. We'll go through the fish rooms a little bit. We'll go into a few tanks, talk about this, that, and the other. We'll talk about the offer, the deal, and then also why we plan on moving, what I plan on doing with the next space, and also pretty much what all you get with this. Alright, so
Okay, so I wanted to play Lucas's intro in the full because, you know, he has a point. So the short of this, and like, I'll try to like time lapse the actual walkthrough, just so you can see it in some spurts. But I mean, you guys have probably watched Lucas's channel, right? And like, I'll jump around a little in the video, why not? But like, he literally walks through the whole house and shows you kind of everything. But, you know, he's got multiple fish rooms. Like, here you can see it behind me. And he walks through kind of showing you it. And I know this is jumpy, but you'll see a little bit of it. You know, you've got fish everywhere, shrimp. You know, another room. That's his whole house is filled with tanks. And the deal is this. He's hoping within a month to find someone who wants to buy his house as is. So that includes like 180 fish tanks and something like 150 containers. Let me check the description, because I want to see if the description actually has that detail. The description doesn't, but I think he said it's like something like another 150 containers. And the containers, for reference, I'm trying to find a quick preview looking. I mean, you probably couldn't see like in my navigation here. Here, it's like this. So we get to like this room, and these are the containers that he uses for raising baby fish, quarantining fish, small fish that don't need a lot of space. So like killifish, because I know he's a killifish fanatic. It's containers like this. So the deal is basically you get his entire house. You can see, we'll jump around a little bit more, but you can just see, like, there's actually that's a good picture there. There's like part of his hopefully you see my mouse there. There's part of his like water filtration unit where he's got a big carbon block filter, and he's got like 3,000 gallon per hour RODI unit so that he can mix his naturally hard water. Yeah, here we go. You can see this UV sterilizer, RODI unit, and all this stuff, and the water that goes all over the place in his house, because like his whole house is basically set up for fish tanks. It's pretty wild, right? I mean, Lucas's house is a wild place. He's kind of a madman, but for many of us, we say madman in a positive way. You know, it's like there's another room down in his basement. And I just think this looks so cool. Like this is money wart, if I remember right, or penny wart, one of the two, just like coming over the top from one tank and dipping into another. I watched this video a couple times because I wanted to get some details before I talked about it. And this part is just, I think, actually one of the most striking things that I see in part of his fish room. He talks about the automated water system that he's put in compared to like when he was first doing this stuff, and you know, you get to see all the different stuff. There's all these. This is part of his living room here, which I kind of want to play this like, little
nice
shot.
Cut out, nice foyer area, skylight.
Like that's beautiful, right?
Then we've got the.
Just saying. And then so it's like even his living room, and if you look, like, you know, his living room's super nice, more fish tanks, right? If you watch Lucas, you know, like him and his wife are fish people, and his wife, and I've met them in person, right? And his wife is wonderful. Lucas is amazing. Even more tanks. This beautiful living room. This fireplace that looks immaculate. Just to me, I love the look. You know, kitchen. No fish tanks in the kitchen, but but you're not far away from more of them. And like he walked through like every room in the house, and they've got fish tanks all over the place, and then even the backyard, and we'll get to that. So in the backyard, like he's got his pond system that he's built. And now I've kind of give you a summary of the video, and we'll get like one more shot of kind of the pond here and what he's got going on. So let me talk about the good and the bad here. Okay. So Lucas mentions toward the end, and maybe I should actually go to that and play that part, and then I'll talk about that. So let's hear the man out.
So with the house, we've had it appraised at $375,000, and then as far as the backyard, you're looking at $150,000-$200,000 easily plus backyard rebuild. The fish room, we put at least $100,000 into it. That's not even counting the time and the man hours to put to building it. So that's not, I mean, you're probably looking at 680 plus around there, but what we're looking for is only 500,000. We're trying to sell it fast because, yeah, we're kind of jumping the gun in what we're wanting to do, but I'm a big believer. You see what you want, you go for it, you don't let things get in your way, and you just make things happen. So that.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there because he's got some of the closing stuff. But to summarize, so he's not quitting the hobby. I want to be really clear. If you're a Lucas fan and you haven't seen this video, like, don't panic. Lucas isn't like leaving the hobby. His goal is to move, I think somewhere in Florida, and I can't remember exactly where, but he basically wants to go bigger. He's gonna do like breeding ponds and stuff like that. It's better weather for all year fish stuff. So that's his goal. And his wife is planning on doing like a plant-oriented stuff. So they've got this combo plan, which is, it's cool, dude. I love people that have that entrepreneurial spirit, right, and want to really step up their business game. So let's talk about this thing. So he said that the house appraises for $375,000, which I'm not sure what the market is in Indiana, but he lives in an area called the Geis Reservoir, which is apparently a very desirable neighborhood, and a lot of the homes around the Geis Reservoir, because it's an area that lives on water, and he lives very close. He literally, when he's in part of his backyard, he points at a house that you can easily see that's not far away, and that house is basically, its backyard is on the water, effectively speaking, of the reservoir. And the houses in that area apparently go for upwards of $1 million. And now, what the difference is between, say, his house and those houses, I can't tell you. He talks about some stuff about like adding a floor to the house, and that starts pushing up the value and stuff like that. And then he talks about how his backyard, to get the pond work done, is another $150,000 to $200,000 to get that done. I question that a little bit, and the only reason why I question it is, sure, it would probably be that much if it was professionally done. Now, if you have it all working and it's extensive, right? We can go back in the video and look, like, you know, there's a lot of this structure here that he's done work to, and he's aquascaping it, and he's got ponds set up, and we can see this, and there's clearly some waterfall stuff that was planned that he was trying to get done, and there's this, and here's where I think one of the first problems comes. So this is me playing a little devil's advocate, right? Because he mentions that he installed this drainage area here, and that his part of the house was on, I think he called it like robot legs to the foundation to make sure that it doesn't flood. And the way that it's said, and I'm not sure, because I don't keep up 100% with Lucas's channel, it made it sound as if it has flooded in the past, and they had to put the robot legs on it in order to lift the foundation of the house, so as if we were having like a sinking slab or something like that. And that could be a big problem, right? Because the biggest problem any real estate person will probably tell you in this case, and that why I'm saying this, I have a very good friend of mine who's a real estate agent. He was the one who helped me buy my home, and I asked him some questions, and he gave me some answers. And basically, his biggest thing was to be like, outside of a person wealthy enough to afford the home that was a giant fish nerd, like me, or someone else, and I only mean the fish nerd part, not the wealthy part. You're not going to find anybody that wants to take the house as is, and they're probably going to instantly walk away because there's lots of fear of mold or structural damage because of the amount of moisture and water we're dealing with when there's tanks in every room of the house, right? So there's a part of this that's going to be really hard for Lucas as far as selling it in a month, unless there is specifically somebody in the fish fam that sees this and goes, I gotta do this, right? That's the tough part. And then he mentioned all the equipment internally. So if we get back to our guy Lucas here, give Lucas some love, because I love Fish Jesus. He mentioned like just the cost of building his fish room, and because the big thing here is it includes a lot of his fish and plants. He's basically only taking a small amount of stuff with him to restart, and you're keeping the rest. So, he's got a lot of rare plants. He's got a ton of fish, including some very rare fish. And if you're getting to keep some or potentially even all of them, that has a certain monetary value to fish people, right? Not to like average house buyer, but maybe the market is hard enough in Illinois. I'm not sure. He's in Indianapolis specifically, to where that is just something that somebody would go, nod, smile, I'll just find a pet store that takes all this stuff. Because I don't know. I live in Seattle, in the Seattle area, and the housing market out here is insane. So an example, just to, I guess, kind of relate housing markets, and I'm not sure what his is like. I almost want to like sit and talk with Lucas, but I know he's a super busy guy, right? I had a friend who just sold their house, and they're moving out of state in order to be closer to family because they have a new baby, and they want to be able to have more time with grandparents, and instead of being states away and only get to see them maybe once a year. And he's fortunate enough that his job is permanently remote now because of the pandemic, so he can do this. His home, within 2.5 hours of being listed for sale, already had somebody at the house walking through it, looking at it. That's how crazy the Seattle housing market is. And the asking price was overbid by like $100,000 because he's in a very desirable neighborhood, very close to all of the high-paying jobs that are in this area. So like your Microsofts, your Googles, all that kind of stuff, right? It's pretty wild. And I don't know if that's the same in Lucas's area. Now, he said he's in a highly desirable neighborhood, and I've seen some comments saying that, yeah, that is a very desired neighborhood. But if your house appraises for $375,000 and you're expecting to get $500,000, regardless of what you have done labor-wise internally or in the backyard, for a generic housing buyer, that doesn't matter. It only matters if the housing market is so insane that they have to overbid by that much to get the property, because the competition is so high. So this is where I think things are tough. Now here's the cool part. If you're a fish nerd and you're looking to get an instant mega fish room, like instant fish business, basically, this might be the once-in-a-lifetime deal. But he mentions a couple things in his video. Like, he mentions you kind of have, like, instant... I don't think he uses the word, like, recognition or clout. I can't remember what he says, but because the house is well known from tours of Lucas's fish room, you kind of have a recognizability or whatever. That, to me, that doesn't apply, because that applies to Lucas, not to his fish room. And his fish room is designed the way that he operates things, not necessarily the way that, say, I would do it, or whoever would buy this would do it. So there's that too, right? Because every fish room is designed the way the owner of it wants it. You know, I'm sure a fish room designed by Dean is completely different. It would, like, this would be so different, it would be unappealing, or you'd be like, oh, I have to do this much work to get it the way I want it, right? Those are some of the concerns. But considering you keep a lot of fish and plants and a million billion tanks, right? He's just got so many tanks. You know, it's potentially a great deal for someone. Now, there's all sorts of inspection risks and stuff like that. And I don't say mostly the negatives. What I'm trying to say is, if he gets outside that month window where he's trying to sell it as one unit to someone who's going to take it over and appreciate it, he specifically mentions it's kind of like a work of art, in the sense of, for us fish nerds, it kind of is like this abstract art, right? Because there's fish tanks everywhere, and it's this cool, living, breathing thing instead of just a house, right? I get that. I get where he's at. Somebody might be like, is Bentley gonna buy Lucas's? No. No, if you're thinking that. But and most of that is just I work in a place where I need to be on site all the time, so I can't move states. But there's some super cool stuff going on, and I really wish Lucas the best. I'm super curious to see if he gets any bites whatsoever, because he does mention he's also taking an or best offer, and I mean, what is or best offer at this point? But if you're interested, because I've had a lot of comments. I actually want to pull a couple of the comments up from my poll, and you know, there's some super positive ones and some ones that are things that I've vocalized where it's like, you know, from a housing perspective, people are just going to walk away instantly because it's just too much. So from one person was, the Geist Reservoir neighborhoods are very sought after. The house by itself would be a great purchase. I wish him luck. But the chance of someone would want it for the fish business in that house is quite slim. But I have been wrong many times before. Good luck, LRB. You are one of the good guys. And I think that's an interesting one. And there's someone else who's actually like trying to buy a house in that area in a year or so. So kind of funny. And then there was this one comment from Shade Aquatic Breeder. I just want to mention this, and then we'll kind of wrap up here. I kind of wish I wanted and could get his house, but for me, it's set up completely opposite in terms. I'd rather have 20 300-gallon tanks as opposed to 300 tanks smaller than 20 gallons. But I'd love to hear what you would do with it. So let me talk about that. Let's say in Magical Christmas Land, I wanted to move to Indianapolis. I could afford to buy Lucas's house and all the things that came with it. We're in Magical Christmas Land. That's what we're going to call this one, okay? Would I do it? Tough. It'd be a long conversation because, one, I would love to have a beautiful river system style pond in my backyard, and that's what he's trying to build, right? Two, being in a nice neighborhood that is sought after, has its own natural, like, return on investment for your home's property value over time. 3, comes with a million tanks. And as we know, I am constantly complaining how I don't have enough space and I don't have enough tanks. So there's some interesting stuff there. And sorry, I'm gonna mute some stuff just in case some other audio comes through. But I'm kind of I'm in a similar camp where, like, he's got a ton of tanks that aren't necessarily the size I want. So if I was building a fish room, I would have more uniform tank sizes. And that's where this is a little crazy. And also just like, you know, I'm a lot bigger guy than Lucas. And he has it built in a way that I would be worried would feel almost claustrophobic to me. So while it would be interesting, I'd probably have to make a lot of changes to make it fit the way that I like to do things. However, he's got a lot of really cool plants and a ton of cool rainbow fish, so that's inherently interesting to me. Plus, naturally harder water is better for rainbow fish than the non-existent hardness that I deal with in my water here in Seattle. Let's see here. There was a couple others where people were like, man, I think that's tough. And a lot of people have stated... one comment that I thought was hilarious is, I'll buy his cat. And he had mentioned, like, he made a joke in there. It's like, yeah, if you want a cat, you can have a cat. He's like, nah, I'm kidding. We're taking the cats with us. But this will be challenging, right? Naturally, if you have a house in a good neighborhood and you take all of the things down, and moving this many tanks to multiple states across is going to be really hard. I totally understand from that perspective why Lucas would not want to tear everything down and why he's trying to sell it as one whole to someone else who appreciates fish, right? Because it saves a lot of effort. And if all you have to do is take a certain number of fish with you, or like you're connecting with this person and you're getting them shipped, that's easy. But one thing he does mention in this video, and I really want to point this out because it was a comment that I thought was really great, is he as a part of this, if you were to buy the house at his offer and be trying to keep the fish business, he's going to mentor you. He jokes that you'll basically become my best friend. And for some people, that might be worth the price of admission, right? Because Lucas does things, and you might call him an aquarium hoarder. Heck, he calls himself an aquarium hoarder. But Lucas does things in a way that no one else really does, and has had extreme success as a fish and plant keeper. And getting to tap into that knowledge effectively at will and kind of take over a instant fish business from home, to some person, that might be well beyond the $500,000 that he's asking for his home, all the things included, plus his mentorship, right? And he was talking about, like, I'll teach you how to set up a website. I'll teach you how to do all the things exactly like how I have it, so that you can basically instantly become LRB 2, right? the next LRB. Maybe that's like your LRB next aquatics. I don't know, but I kind of want to give some love, because just in case you haven't seen this video, go watch it. Maybe you want to move to Indianapolis. Maybe you want an instant fish business. This might be your ticket. I'm trying not to be negative, because I sincerely like Lucas a lot. I just think from a pure real estate perspective, this is very difficult. I've dealt with buying a home. I've dealt with selling a home, because I helped my mom sell her old house before I bought this place, and I've helped several friends. I've watched some of my coworkers very recently try to buy homes. Some of my friends in the fish family, like Alex of Secret History. And house buying is a thing. It is tough. Can be frustrating. House selling is very similar, especially when you're in a situation like Lucas. So, I know this has gone a little long. With that being said, here's where I want to cut it. I wish Lucas Bretz the absolute best. If you have not seen this video, if you really want to get a full idea of what's going on, please, please, please. It'll be at the end of the video. It's been up in the corner. It'll be down in the description. Watch it. Just watch the whole thing. Listen to Lucas tell you all the stuff. And if you're looking to move to the Geist Reservoir area of Indianapolis, and you're a fish nerd, you might want to reach out to the man. He has his contact information in the video. It's just lrbaquatics@gmail.com. Reach out. I mean, personally, I've reached out to Lucas for a completely different reason, but I'm curious to see how this unfolds. And if you've enjoyed this video, maybe you want to see some more random reacts to like the more interesting videos out there. I don't want to do like stuff that's done by other channels, but if you like kind of this, where I just take my take on some, I would say, truly unique events inside the fish fam, and some videos like this, let me know. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Lucas, I'm gonna go here. Best of luck, buddy. And as always, folks, just like this man has a smile and a little wave, stay awesome.